Hello, good morning. Learning Dota with me. Let's do this again. Alright. So I think we finished covering up the agility part of things, right, last time? And now let's move on to intelligence. So, our strength and agility has been covered. So let's go to intelligence. Intelligence heroes. Now, who would be a good typical intelligence hero? I think Silencer would be kind of good, but let's overall pick someone who has a bit more spell damage to help. Okay, let's go for Crystal Maiden. So now you can see our friend Crystal Maiden here, right? She's like, just by appearance, like if you remember the strength heroes, they look like bulky. The agility heroes, they like usually have some kind of blade or gun, which she's holding a staff, so you get it. She's like a spellcaster who's and she looks kind of squishy, like she's not wearing really any high armor or anything. She's just wearing cloth. So yeah, so she's gonna be a little bit of squish. Now, what does this do? Intelligence. Intelligence primarily gives you increased mana regen, and magic resistance. Okay, so they've switched magic resistance to this now. Okay, and what it does is that for intelligence here, every point in intelligence also increases main attack damage by one. What this main attack damage is this is your right click damage, right? So this is gonna increase by one. But this is not increasing your. I think it does, but I think they haven't mentioned it. It does increase your spell damage also, but I don't think they've mentioned, or maybe they've included it in a different way now. Okay, so now this is basically a support spellcaster. So you can expect to have some disables, slows, mm, minor damages, and a very bombastic ultimate. That's basically how it goes, and some auras and stuff on the way. So her innate is Blue Heart Flow. Christian Maiden has 50% mana regeneration amplification. Right, like she can have mana for days. Right, then we have Crystal Nova. Crystal Nova is a burst of damaging frost which slows enemy movement in the targeted area. So this is like an AoE. This is an area damage move which will cause damage and it will slow whomever got hit by it by 20, 30, 40, 50%. Right. It also slows down their attack speed. This is not only a movement slow, this is an attack slow as well. Right, and it's got a 5-second duration. It does a decent enough damage, and in a 425 AoE, which is also pretty decent. It's got a relatively low cooldown, and it has high mana requirements, so it does, mana regeneration. Now, this is basically your go-to spamming spell for the most part because it's got the lowest cooldown, 8 seconds, I think. Uh, Frostbite is there, but it's not going to be like an AoE. Frostbite is just single targeted. Right, and then your ultimate is obviously going to have a huge cooldown. This is something new. I'll check this out. Okay, so after this, you come with Frostbite. Frostbite is it encases an enemy unit, one person. This is a targeted spell in ice, prohibiting movement and attack, while dealing damage over time. Deals 4 times the damage to non-ancient creeps, which means if you use this on any basic unit or like non-ancient neutral creeps. So I'll explain what those mean later. So you will do 4 times what damage that she's going to be doing. Like this is 100 damage per second for 3 seconds. That is 300 damage. So it's going to be about 1200 damage. Right? Yeah, I know math. So yeah, and this also has a relatively low cooldown. But the only issue with this is a single target spell, right? So it's more like a disable rather than an actual damage dealing item because it's got to like keep them stuck in ice. Now, then we come to our passive, which is Arcane Aura. What this does, it gives additional mana regeneration to all friendly units on the map. This is huge because everybody on the entire map gets mana regeneration just because Crystal Raiders is on your team. Right? I mean, on your teammates, not the enemies. Right? Yeah, it's all friendly units. But what it also does is allies within a 1200 radius of Krishna received 3 times the mana regeneration. Right. I don't know why they had to spell it out, but yeah. So you can see like huge mana update. And like in a game like this, 3 mana per second is pretty big, man. It's pretty big up. It's a pretty big this thing uh, region. Now ah, we get her ultimate ability, which is called the freezing field. Now this is a channeled ability, which means that when she's doing this, she cannot move. Okay, this is okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So this is that she has to stand there and use this. So usually what people would do is they would get some way to become invisible and then use this. So you become untargetable. Or you become or the issue is like if someone stuns you, you're gonna lose this entire thing. So what they would do is they would get items that would avoid them from getting stunned. Which items those are, we'll delve more into when we go into the items and other things. Right. So she's pretty powerful, and the interesting part about this woman is that her damage is pretty high. Like, look at this, 10 seconds, right? And she's going to be doing about 250 damage per second, roughly. Right. I think that's what it is, right? Uh, yeah, it's about 250 damage per second per explosion, basically. Right, 100 random IC explosions that slow enemies and deal massive damage. Yeah. So, in essence, it's about like 2,500 damage. That's a lot of damage. It's more than most people's HP. Right, but she has to be able to cast it all. Now, what Aghanim Scepter does. Oh, wait, we'll go to the last item, last spell first. Now, what do you get as a fifth spell in her with her, which is a new one, which is Crystal Clone. Slides in a direction, creating a clone of herself and disjointing incoming projectiles. If the clone takes enough damage or times out, it shatters, frostbiting enemies in a 450 AoE around its place. And the clone can also be destroyed by crystal weighted spells. Yeah. So what this is basically is that you're gonna jump back, leave a clone in your position, and by doing this called disjointing, which means that if there is any spell or any normal attack which is coming at you, which is a targeted spell, which you can see the projectile. So what this is going to do is this is going to basically disjoint it. That means it's not going to land on you. Now it's going to land on the clone, and you're not going to take the damage for it. If the clone takes enough damage or times out, it shatters, right? So if it's going to take if it's got a time of what 5 seconds, if it's times out or takes more than 150 damage, which is really bad, so it's going to explode in an 450 AOE around its place, and it will lead no it shatters, causing frostbite in a 450 AOE. Right, so there's like people around, and in a 450 AOE, it's going to catch them and do frostbite. The clone can also be destroyed by Crystal Maiden's own spells. Okay, so you can yourself destroy it if you want to, like, launch that frostbite. Now, this is probably the Aghanim Shard ability, yeah. And Aghanim Scepter. Now, what this does is this, as I told you before, it usually upgrades the ultimate ability. And this is something similar happening here also. Right, where you can see it allows you to move, cast, and attack during freezing field. So now you don't have to be stuck. As I told you, it's a channeled ability, so you have to stay. So with this, you get a lot more mobility and a lot more options in the kind of items you can choose. Like just an invisibility would be more than enough because they're not usually going to be able to detect you much, and AOE stuns and stuff is still difficult. Now can still be interrupted by enemies. Yeah, you move 75% slower during this though. Increases total number of explosions by 20%. So this is like 120 explosions gonna happen. Applies frostbite to any unit that has been standing in the freezing field for over 2.5 seconds. This is very important because now suddenly your freezing field is going to be doing an additional damage of frostbite, plus it's going to immobilize them to make them take more damage. So it just becomes really powerful. This is like a very powerful upgrade that she has. Okay, and then we go to the talent tree. So how does the talent tree work? The talent tree is like level 10, right? We get 10, 100 plus 100 to Crystal Nova AoE. It already had a 425 AoE, now it's like 500. Right, 525. Now, or you can get 200 health, which is kind of pointless for her. She's still going to be a glass cannon. Right. Then we have minus 4.5 seconds Crystal Nova cooldown. So that is another insane one because it was, as I remember, it was at 8 seconds max, right? Yeah. So now it comes down to 3.5 seconds, which is wow. It's like amazing. Like that's what I said. It's your spammable ability, right? Or you can have a plus 100 frostbite cast range, which is also great. Like you already have a 600 range and you can catch him at 700. So nobody's running away from you. Then we have plus 50 freezing field damage. Oof. Right. It already had what 250 at the highest level and 105 at the lowest level. And the thing is, this makes the most sense at the lowest level, but you're never going to get it at the lowest level. You're probably going to get it around the highest level. Right, like 20. So, yeah, you're going to probably get it at the end and it's going to become 300 damage per tick. So, yeah, it's like a slight upgrade. At the lowest, it would be insane because it will just delete people. Right, or you can get plus 225 attack speed, which I don't know who goes for on Crystal Maiden, but I will try it one day and I will tell you how good it is. Then, yeah, now this shit just becomes weird. Now, the last one is plus 300 Crystal Nova damage. Like, you can blast people with Crystal Nova, right? Like, just look at this damage. This already has 260 damage. It's gonna get upgraded by your spell damage also, by your spell amp. And you get plus 300. This just becomes such a nuke. You can just, like, nuke people down. Or you can just take plus 1 second frostbite duration, which will lock the people down to 4 seconds and which also gets applied by freezing field, which will also lock them down. So it just becomes an overall messed up situation for the poor people who are stuck in the middle of everything. Now, freezing field also passively increases Crystal Maiden's cast range and area of effect, which basically means is that once you have freezing field, passively, once you activate it, I think, I'm not sure whether it's activating it or whether just by having it. Wait, let's see. Okay, I'll figure that out. Cold Comfort. Restores her allies' mana when casting spells. Increases innate mana regen application. So this is another insane one. Like she'll just restore her allies' mana when casting spells. Right. And like randomly she's walking around, she casts a spell and your ally suddenly has mana. That's pretty powerful. And increases the innate mana regen application, which is another, really powerful part. Right. Uh, okay. So this is the bonus that Freezing Field will get. Right. I mean, I think, yeah. And this is what bonus you get from 75%. Holy mother. Yeah. So this is how Christian Maiden is like usually, this is what Christian Maiden is. And she's a pretty good support, right? And like when you go to battle with her, you will see that all her spells basically are just, let's make things hard for the other team. That's basically what the point of a support character is. Right, it's just to be a real annoying piss off. But the problem is they're usually a glass cannon, so if they can land their spells, they're powerful, but if they can't, they just die. Then lastly, we come to our universal heroes. Right. Yeah. So universal heroes, as I said last time, they were a new batch of people, right, who got a different kind of workup. I think in Universal, let's see who makes the most sense of, like I don't remember. I wasn't there when they were doing this. So I'm just gonna see for whom it makes the most sense to have a good Universal upgrade. It makes sense for Phoenix actually. Right. Techies, I'm not so sure, but for Phoenix, it makes a lot of sense. Visage also makes a lot of sense. Brewmaster, yes, huge sense for Brewmaster. The rest of them, I don't know. Enigma, it does because he's kind of a universal character, and even for Whis, because they don't belong in like the normal world kind of thing. That's why it kind of makes sense for them. But the rest of these guys, they were pretty well set, man. I don't know why they changed them around, but okay. Uh, well, since they did, so they did. So can't help it. So I'll go for Phoenix. Okay, yeah. So universal characters, as I said, are kind of a mixed bag. Like, I'll just tell you. Shit, 1 second. Crap. Yeah. So like, this guy, Abaddon, right? Brewmaster, Beastmaster, then Goblin, Clockwork, right? Clockwork Goblin, then Lycan, Magnus, uh, Phoenix, Sand King. So these guys used to come into the strength heroes, right? Now they've made them into universal. The same thing with Winter Wyvern, Wind Ranger, Invoker. These guys used to be intelligence. Now they're put into this. Then we have Mirana. We have uh, Spangolier. We have Nyx Assassin and Clone Druid. All these guys were in agility. So they've kind of like just taken a mixed bag of heroes that they think fit this bill and they've put them here. So let's go into Phoenix. So this is going to be a very different style because they're all having like like I said, like strength, agility, and intel. Each one has like a current unique playstyle. So these guys are going to have a mix of them because they all still have their own playstyles, but since they're universal now, so you get stat bonuses from everything. That's the only difference, right? But you're mostly going to be playing them the same way that you did before. Uh, I think let's explain Enigma. Enigma is a good one. So Enigma, the thing with Enigma was that he doesn't have really high growth, as you can see. His agility is kind of shit growth, and strength is okay, and intelligence. But now what he's given is for universal, every point in strength, agility, or intelligence also increases main attack damage by 0.7. So it basically supplements you to become a little bit more of a universal hero rather than sticking to a one singular style. Now, again, since they've upgraded many of these characters, I don't remember many of the new things that they've done, so I'm going to read them out. So first, let's go for the facets. Let's just read the facets. Units in a event horizon. Units in a 600 radius moving away from Enigma have a 9 to 15% move speed penalty, which is like wow, nice. So if they're running away from you, they're just slower. And Enigma spawns. And this is units. So does this apply to your teammates also? Huh, interesting. Okay. And then we have splitting image, which is Enigma spawns eidolons upon receiving damage. This is like if you get hit, you lose a chunk of yourself, and suddenly, oh, it's an eidolon. I'll tell you what eidolons are. So yeah, these are the two parts. Then we have gravity well. Okay, this is the innate ability. Allies within 500 distance from Enigma have up to 9, 11, 13, and 15% damage reduction. Whoa. Okay, effect starts at 0% at max distance and increases to its maximum strength when the ally is at 100 distance. Wow. Okay, so you gotta like really stick close to this guy, man. Yeah. So I'll have to speed this up a little bit. I have a phone call to get to. Yeah. So Enigma's first move is called Malphite, right? And this is it focuses Enigma's power on a target, causing it to take damage and become repeatedly stunned for multiple instances. An instant strikes every 2 seconds. 3 instances, right? Yeah. So this thing is pretty good because what it does is it continuously stuns. At that stun, he's gonna take damage, and it is annoying because it helps to interrupt so many moves, right? It is so annoying and so good, and you can have three instances, and I probably think they might let you upgrade the instances somewhere. It might be here. Uh, yeah, plus four Malphite. It just becomes super broken very quickly. Then we have demonic summoning, right? What this is, it summons three fragments of Enigma himself at the cost of health. The Eidolon's health is increased by 3% of Enigma's current health. So if you have a good amount of HP, they're going to be tanky. These Eidolons are all under Enigma's control, and repeated successful attack cause them to multiply. When this happens, the Eidolons have their health restored. Like, you see this, like they're gonna attack. You're gonna spawn three, and you're gonna spawn them from before it used to be from I think units, but now I think you can just spawn them out from your own HP. Yeah, and then when they keep attacking, they after a couple of attacks, yeah, attacks to multiply six. So after they attack that way, they will multiply. Right, and then they keep multiplying. So you can have this huge army if you use them well and you know how to run these eidolons with their with their HP and stuff, and they do a decent amount of damage. 47 per. That is like 120 plus damage, and like just with three per hit. That's a lot. Right, and they're pretty powerful. No, trust me, they're pretty powerful. You can like really overwhelm people with this. I'll show you how. Then we have Midnight Pulse. This used to be the most broken ability, right? And it's still kind of broken, but I think they've nerfed it a bit. I don't know. Steeps an area in Dark Resonance, dealing 5, 10, 15, 20 plus a percentage of the enemy's current HP as damage. Yes, what they've done is they made it as a current HP. So current HP means that it's not going to like 10% of your current HP. If it's like 100, you're going to do 10 damage. That's nothing. But if it's 1,000, you're going to do 100 damage. That's a lot. So what they've effectively done is they've effectively nerfed it in a way that it doesn't look like a nerf, but it is a nerf because man, 10% of current HP is shit, right? That's like, dude, 100 HP. The guy has like 20. The guy has like 5 damage, and then you do 10 more. What is stupidity? But like 10 plus 20 only will come. So again, 30 damage out of like 100. It's not really that fast, and it's not gonna tick that quickly also. So yeah, it's not as OP as it was before because before it used to do max HP as percentage of max HP as damage. Now just wipe people. People step into it, they're dead. Right. If you can just like keep them locked in, they're dead. Like Malphite. Oh, Malphite with this was so powerful. And then we have black hole. Black hole is like, yeah, what it says. It's you summon a black hole, right? It's a vortex that sucks in enemies. And enemies affected by the black hole cannot move, attack, or cast spells. So it's basically like a black hole. There's nothing that can escape from it. Once it's in there, it's in there. It's got a damage per second of 200 pure damage. That means you're going to hit them for about 800 damage purely. Right? It is a very powerful spell. Very, very, very powerful. And if you couple this up with Midnight Pulse, oh, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So now what they did, they upgraded this. That is that Malphite, it increases the stun duration by 0.35 seconds and creates an Eidolon next to the target every instance of Malphite stun. Wow. Okay, these Eidolons will not multiply further, thank God, but damn, that's really powerful. And Black Hole deals additional damage equivalent to 4% of the unit's max health per second. You see this? This is what they did. That's why they had to nerf the this thing. What is that? Midnight Pulse, because they added it into the Aghanim upgrade of Black Hole. Even a 4% of the unit's max health is so much more powerful, right? Because like, dude, it burns, man, right? And then after that, a talent tree, right? So what's in the talent tree? The talent tree is yeah. So the talent tree now you can see at level 10 plus 50 black hole damage per second. That's already really good. It's already upgrading you really fast, right? Or plus 10 Eidolon attack speed. Like you get more Eidolons quicker. Then plus 40 Malphite's instant damage. Right. It was already pretty high. I think it was what, 100? Yeah. Now it's 140. That is very powerful. Or plus 250 health. I don't know the use of health in our Enigma friend. Then there is plus 40 Eidolon damage. Dude, they already had 47 damage per head and now it's plus 40. Wow. That's sick. Then, or plus 200 Midnight Pulse radius. This thing already has a 700 radius. And it's just gonna like cover an entire area that you're fighting at. Right. Then you have plus 4 demonic summoning eidolons. So instead of 3, you can have 7 of them. And then you can have 7 of them hurting people. Right. Or you can have plus 4 Malphite instances, which just makes this from 3 to 7. It's like it's not even double, it's more than double. So with these kind of upgrades, you can very easily hurt a lot of people. And if you get this, oh my god, so many Eidolons. You can basically just, take these guys around and just kill everything that moves. Right. And it will be just so simple to kill people with the Enigma. Yeah. So this is like kind of how the Universal heroes are, but as I said, they're a mixed bag because they're not really fitting as universal per se, but since they are a little different, so they've kind of been put into a different bracket. That's basically it. All right, I will get back to this in a bit. Yeah, I'll start demoing some heroes in a bit. All right.